Let me say most, I won't say all. Most are very robotic. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome. All right, if you came across this channel by any chance and you're not yet subscribed, feel free to go ahead and do so and join the family and come on this journey with me. In today's video, I will be sharing about few things I don't like about China. Now, this disclaimer, this I am sharing based on my experience and what I would have observed, and hearing from others as well what their experiences were. Now, the aim is not to discourage anyone from coming here to China. Feel free to come, because I came, and some of which I would have heard, or a few of which I would have heard, but you have your goals, and that's why you take the option of coming here to teach. So it's just informational and to educate you and to let you be aware. So if you do decide to come, you are not surprised by any means. All right, so let's get into it. All right, so I don't necessarily like the fact that they stare a lot. I would have mentioned in previous videos that they do stare a lot. I don't particularly love this because in Western culture, you're not used to this. Or if someone's staring at you and you say, awa, for argument's sake, that would make the person a little bit more conscious. Or even your eyes making four, meaning you're looking at them and they're looking at you at once, naturally that person will look somewhere else. But no, them very bare face here, them very bare face here, and they'll stare at you. Coupled with this is that they'll go ahead and take your photographs, and some are very foolish with it. And in many occasions, I would have had to say, I don't want you to, don't do that. Or if they see you approaching them, for a set of persons who don't like confrontation, they do a lot of things to aggravate you, to cause an environment of confrontation. So that's just how they are, right? Let's see, because I wrote down, of course, there are so many things I'd like to share, so I have to document. All right, so for me, too many lies are told. Like, I understand that at some point in time somebody may want to lie, but for this to be a constant situation you're faced with, it's definitely my least favorite thing, because I just believe that being upfront is pretty good. But then again, that's what I'm cultured to, and that's what I believe. So it's not happening here. They are very lie. The simplest of things, they will tell you a lie. And this will be a turn off. But like I mentioned, disclaimer, the video's aim is to educate you and let you be aware of the Chinese culture. The decision as to whether you come here is entirely up to you. Just saying that again. So yeah, they tell a lot of lies, and this is on a regular day, or in schools, or if you have a business relation, you'll realize when they're telling lies. So sometimes instead of explaining what the issue, if there's an issue with you, they'll tell you a lie. Oh no, we're good, that type of a thing. So I don't like this, because I don't find it very productive, because if you don't like something, then and you express that to me, if it's something where I'm able to adjust, then I can adjust. So that's just my thinking, but I do understand they do think differently. And this segue into a tunnel vision and a robotic type of attitude. Now, what I've noticed is that these persons, let me say most, I won't say all, most are very robotic, and they're very tunnel vision. What do I mean? Simply, it's almost as if they don't have a mind of their own. They can't create their own understanding from a topic or something. They have to go with what was given, the script basically that was given to them. I think that's pretty sad. That is pretty sad, right? For one not being able to create for themselves an understanding. And you do have those that if they do create understanding and it requires them to take action, they won't. So this is it. They are afraid of each other, or should I say afraid of their superior, whether or not, you know, it's something that needs to be spoken of. I don't particularly fancy this. Yeah, I don't particularly fancy this. All right, let's see. Oh, top of this is that you cannot freely use the internet for Western apps. Yes, so if you have not yet learned this, now you know it for a fact. Certain Western apps you cannot use. You can't use your WhatsApp, you can't use your Instagram, your Facebook, LinkedIn. Any Western applications are not freely used using their internet. You have to have an application or an app called VPN. Now there are several, and you know, you can find the best one that suits you. In another video I can share some of the ones that I use on my phone. No, and it's almost as if there are certain times, usually here, that you know the internet is a little bit more, and in terms of using these apps it's a little harder. I remember once in that very first year when I came here, my phone, for about a week I could not access any of the Western apps because the VPN application stopped working. And this can let you feel almost like you're a fish out of water, because you're not accustomed to not probably using your Instagram, your WhatsApp to communicate with your family. You're not used to that because we use that back home. So that is something to note. So you want to be prepared for that. All right. To be honest, most, or in a general context, Chinese people are not very private people, in the sense that, take for example a work environment, there is something that probably needs to be said to you, you know, and I've seen this happen to other persons where they come either in the office where other teachers are and they openly express this. No, I say some because, you know, some become aware that, you know, you need to take the person one side and discuss this. So this is just something too. They're not very private and they're very loud, and yeah, they talk a lot, which means they talk about a lot of people a lot of the time. So you'd have learned that by now. In a culture like this, I mean, if you are not somebody that's very strong-willed or have a strong personality, as they would say, you have to get strong, because what I have found and I've realized is that once they find you're a soft soap, like with the saying Jamaica, a soft soap, or a person who is very soft, they want to take advantage of this and feel as though they should do with you some things that shouldn't be done. So in other words, you have to have backbone or grow backbone, if you know what I mean. So they'll tend to try, and of course, that's how they are. They push and try situation, and I wouldn't just say it's limited to them. People in a general will try things with you, and if you allow it, they only continue. So that exists too. All right. So it's very important. All right, you see, because of the language barrier, so this is what I don't like. Because of the language barrier, a lot of employers will take advantage of you, and this is specific towards your employment in terms of registering of your paperwork correctly. Yes, ensuring that they do their due diligence and stick to the contract. Yes, so I don't like that. So they take a lot of unethical employer will take advantage of this, because you know you won't understand everything written on a paper because you don't speak Chinese, you don't know the characters. So this exists, so you want to become aware of it, and you know, try to ensure that you have persons who can assist you, or you ask questions as regularly as possible. Oh, another thing is that they don't particularly love when you ask a lot of questions, but for me, asking question is creating understanding, and it's a different place. It's not like the mother language here is English, so you have to ask questions. Can I tell you? But yeah, a lot of them don't like to be questioned because that's just how they are cultured. But you're dealing with foreigners and you're hiring foreigners, I believe you should be open to adapt to Western things as well. All right, so let's see if I have any more. So the unfortunate thing is that your skin color is still in 2022, whatever year we are, your skin color still is up for some debate or still up for some judgment. It's sad, but it's the reality of life. And this also segue in another thing. I have found where, you know, in a general sense, a lot of them are very shallow in their thinking. So if my face not clean and not a bump, right now me have bump, you know. If my face isn't clean and spotless and pimpleless and don't have any bumps, that's beauty. And beauty can look very different in very different form. I personally don't believe that your face have to be spotless for you to be beautiful, right? So in a sense like that, I find them very shallow. So if your skin too dark, then probably treat you a certain way. This is very shallow thinking. I've had the experience once where I was in a classroom and one of the local teachers, she was on the, you know, the thicker side, probably a little bit thicker than I am. So, you know, one of the students was like to her, but you're not beautiful. I mean, this is in my local, but this child would basically be saying you're not beautiful. And when I begin to ask, why would you say that? Because you're fat. So you find is that this is something that even the children are overhearing their parents, and you know, they learn from them, and that's the reality. They feel like, say, if you're not too thin like a thread, yeah, you're not beautiful. I find this very shallow thinking, and I mean, it can go in so many different contexts how shallow they are with their thinking, right? You employ persons who, compared with a blacker, I would say a blacker, compared with a person with dark skin, right? You would interview a white person, and out of the two, who do you guess that will get the job? And this does not necessarily mean that the person with the lighter skin tone is competent, but because of the shallow thinking and the image and the facade of their nature, they would more go for a white person as opposed to a dark skinned person. Now, this is not all employer. However, in a very general sense, it's what it is. All right. So, yeah. So things like that. And I have heard so many stories. I mean, almost every foreigner that came across and are in China can tell you some experience of the sort. Not everybody will come on YouTube and tell you about that, you know. And just another disclaimer, do not think for a second that my aim is to spread negative vibe. Of course not. We want to be positive people, but you need to be realistic too. So I am going to give you that realistic view of, you know, some things I don't like, which possibly, if you're anything like me, overall you probably don't like as well, you know, just to put you on your P's and your Q's so you may inform decision. That's the aim. You realize how many times I've said it? That's the aim. All right. So I would have mentioned that they like to tell a lot of lies. So they're very indirect people. So don't expect any directness to yeah, sometimes they won't directly say some stuff to you, but I think I would have mentioned this before. You'll get it, or you will hear of it in a grapevine situation. Sorry. So yeah, what I have found here is that COVID changed so much. So COVID have changed so much, and this is a thing that I don't like, because I've found that so often is that COVID is the constant topic. It is one of the constant things talked about here in China. I don't like that, because I mean, it's almost as if it's a death sentence. And life goes on. I mean, yes, the population, you want it to be healthy and everything, but I do believe life still goes on. So COVID interrupts a lot of things. So traveling and stuff like that, it's interrupted by COVID, because one have to consider, okay, if I leave, especially during a holiday period where probably a lot of persons are traveling, you know, if I leave and go here, Does that really mean that it's gonna affect me coming back to my city or coming back and being able to go work same time? Because there are so many restrictions and COVID measures and quarantine time, so you have to heavily evaluate if it makes sense for you to leave your apartment or just stay home. So there's that, and things would have changed over the years. So yeah, I've already mentioned in the previous video as well that a lot of the times when you inquire of persons, whether it be in your workplace, they don't necessarily know the answer, but they give you the little that they know, or they're unwilling. Yes, sometimes they're unwilling to find out the information, and as such, their initial response sometimes can be a no, or this can't be done. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it can't be done. It just means that they don't know and they don't wish to go and find out too. So that's it. I think I would have given you quite a bit in terms of what I don't like, and like I mentioned, it's just to be putting you on an awareness of how things can be, and I'm pretty sure a lot of foreigners here would have experienced one or two or all of what I've mentioned. So it's just for you to make an informed decision. That's the aim, to give it to you 100% straight so you can make informed decision for yourself. All right, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the other videos. All right, remember to subscribe and invite your friends and family over. All right, bye.